The majority of slaves had terrible experiences with their masters, and so to get their revenge, they would rebel. During their daily lives, slaves would perform numerous rebellions, the simplest ones being breaking objects, working slower, faking illnesses, and anything else that would cost their masters money and time. These slaves were called quiet rebels, because they were subtle rebellions and it couldn't be proved that the slaves had done them. Slaves wanted to make their living conditions more bearable. Slaves would steal household items from their masters, which they could bring back to their own homes. Slave owners knew that the slaves were stealing from them, but they didn't do much about it. They would wait until things got really bad or the slaves stole a precious item. Once things went too far, the masters would resort to punishing them. However, slaves continued to steal. The masters did all they could, but there were not many things that could be done to stop the slaves. There were other types of rebellion, such as poisoning. In the 1700s, slaves had been accused of poisoning their masters. From that time on, if slaves were caught teaching other slaves about poisoning, they would be punished. The thought of slaves poisoning them made the slave owners very scared and take more precautions when around or dealing with the slaves. In some places, slaves were too afraid to rebel and would choose not to. They were afraid of the cruel punishments they could endure if they were caught in their wrongdoings. This added to the strength and power of the whites. Slaves also wouldn't participate in rebellions because they didn't have any weapons and they knew that going up against their owners would be a suicidal mission. Unfortunately, slaves didn't know that the whites were afraid of rebellions, or there may have been a different outcome. Nat Turner was an American slave born on October 2, 1800 in Virginia. On August 21, 1831, Turner led 7 other slaves in attacking the local white population. Nat Turner's rebellion was the most known and remembered rebellion that took place. This rebellion was greatly over-exaggerated in the numbers and just how grand it was. It was said that Nat Turner was accompanied by more than 500 slaves in his rebellion. In reality, there were only around 75 slaves that joined him. They went around stealing horses and weapons from white plantations, as well as setting fires to those plantations once they had their stolen belongings. Soon, 3,000 militiamen gathered to capture Turner and his men. They were captured and hung, but Turner sent out on a chase and had people hunting him down for 6 weeks before he was caught and hung as well. In modern day, there are not as many big-scale rebellions as back then, but there are many protests which are similar to the rebellions because both groups are going against what they're supposed to do or fighting for what they believe in.